to Child Trafficking Prevention Training. I am Lisa Mastriana Davitt, LCSW and School Social Worker for Volusia County Schools. Human trafficking has been acknowledged as a significant concern in the state of Florida. Florida Department of Education now mandates that all staff and students in every county should have prevention education to increase awareness and reduce risks of human trafficking. This training will provide an overview and information regarding the definition of human trafficking, the prevalence and examples of trafficking, understanding risk factors and potential trafficking indicators, understanding the role of social media and internet, knowing how to report and how to access resources, and understanding prevention and student education. What does human trafficking look like? When you think about children who might be trafficked, what type of child do you imagine? Human trafficking can impact all children regardless of gender, age, race, cultural identity, or sexual orientation. Human trafficking is defined by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security as the recruitment, harboring, transportation, provision, or obtaining of a person for labor or services through the use of force, fraud, or coercion. The primary types of child trafficking is commercial sexual exploitation of a child, or CSEC, and child labor trafficking. The Action, Means, and Purpose Model, or AMP model, helps to define and distinguish child trafficking. Child trafficking occurs when a trafficker takes any of the listed actions and employs the means of force, fraud, or coercion for the purpose of compelling the victim to provide labor or services. At minimum, one element from each column must be present to establish potential labor trafficking of minors. However, child sex trafficking can be present regardless of means and does not require by legal definition to have involved the presence of force, fraud, or coercion. Commercial sexual exploitation of a child, or CSEC, is the use of any person under the age of 18 for sexual purposes in exchange for or with the promise of money, goods, or services. A commercial sexual act means any sex act on account of which anything of value is given to or received by any person. Remember, child sex trafficking can be present regardless of means and does not require by legal definition to have involved the presence of force, fraud, or coercion. The average age for children entering sex trafficking is 12 to 14 for girls and 11 to 13 for boys. Some examples of child sex trafficking are a minor trading sexual acts in exchange for a place to sleep, being prostituted as an adolescent, a parent trading sexual acts from the child for drugs, a teenager sending or texting pictures in exchange for money, goods, or services, child sexual tourism, child pornography, and online or mobile app transmission of a child engaged in any sexual activity. Examples of child labor trafficking could include forced domestic servitude in exchange for shelter, farm or agricultural labor, door-to-door sales, selling candy or other goods, and forced labor in restaurants, construction, carnivals, and health and beauty services. Federal and state laws, labor laws, help to protect youth from mistreatment in a work setting. The Fair Labor Standards Act states that children under age 14 may not be employed. Youth 14 to 16 cannot be employed more than 18 hours per week during the school year, and it should be less than 3 hours on school days. 16 and 17-year-olds in Florida cannot work more than 30 hours per week when school is in session. Door-to-door sales is considered a hazardous occupation and is prohibited except for nonprofit groups with close adult supervision, for example, Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts. An estimated 199,000 incidents of sexual exploitations of minors occur each year in the United States. While some youth are legally employed, there may be those whose services are exploited, as well as young people working that are not documented as employees. It is difficult to ascertain the certain statistics regarding child labor because those that follow the law are those that report. According to the Child Labor Coalition, there's estimated 5.5 million youth between the ages of 12 and 17 employed across the United States. An estimated 500,000 children work in various agricultural settings, and 50,000 children are involved in street peddling. Given the secretive nature of human trafficking, accurate statistics on the nature, prevalence, and geography of human trafficking are difficult to calculate. Florida has one of the highest rates in the nation of reported human trafficking. It is the third highest in the nation. In 2017-18 year, 2,133 reports were made to the Human Trafficking and DCF hotline. 92% were identified as CSEC, and 7% were identified as labor trafficking. From 2013-14 to the 2017-18 reporting year, there has been a 147.7 increase in reports of human trafficking. Volusia County reports to DCF and the Human Trafficking Hotline account for 71% of the reports from the 7th Judicial Circuit, which includes Volusia, Flagler, St. John, and Putnam counties. There are many risk factors in our students' lives that may put them at risk of trafficking or other abuse and trauma. Some of these factors might include substance abuse, mental illness, learning disabilities, developmental delays, physical abuse, childhood sexual abuse, promotion of sexual exploitation by family members or peers, lack of social support, lack of personal safety, isolation, emotional distress, runaway, juvenile justice involvement, homelessness, poverty, family dysfunction. 1 in 5 children are solicited sexually through the internet before their 18th birthday. There are a vast amount of social media and gaming platforms in addition to the ones commonly known to adults. Young people are frequently susceptible to being coerced after building relationships via social media. The National Human Trafficking Hotline has recorded recruitment in all types of sex and labor trafficking on social media platforms, including but not limited to Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Kik, MeetMe.com, WhatsApp, and dating sites like Tinder, Grindr, and Plenty of Fish. Traffickers may try to build an intimate relationship with a victim through social media, and gaming systems and programs with chat rooms expose young people to other players that can communicate with them online. Recruiters may advertise fake or deceptive job opportunities, and of traveling sales crews, they may post photos of daily cash profits to entice potential victims. Agricultural labor recruiters may advertise for U.S. visa contracts via social media. The Department of Juvenile Justice and Department of Children's Services developed a screening tool to assess youth when trafficking is reported or suspected. This tool is being used throughout Florida by law enforcement, DCF, and providers of programs supported by Department of Juvenile Justice. The screening tool helps to identify red flags that might signal the youth is being trafficked, including history of running away, history of abuse, inappropriate aged relationships, inappropriate sexual behaviors, fear of speaking for themselves, signs of being groomed, possibly being in the possession of material goods that seem unaffordable for the child's age and means, as well as other factors that assist the investigator to determine risk. For all Volusia County School employees, there are indicators you may notice among our students that should alert you to possible child trafficking. You should know the signs that could potentially be a red flag. Does the student have unexplained absences from school, suddenly change his or her usual attire, behavior, or relationships, suddenly have more and more expensive material possessions, chronically run away from home, act fearful, anxious, depressed, submissive, tense, nervous, or paranoid, defer to another person to speak for him or her, especially during interactions with school authority figures, describe adults as a friend or much older youth as a boyfriend or girlfriend, show signs of physical and/or sexual abuse, physical restraint, or pain, have new branding or tattoos, appear deprived of food, water, sleep, medical care, or other life necessities. Any person who knows or has reasonable cause to suspect that a child is abused, abandoned, or neglected by a parent, legal custodian, caregiver, or another person is responsible for the child's welfare and is a mandatory reporter in the state of Florida. If you have concerns and evidence that a child may be abused or trafficked, it is your responsibility to report those concerns. It is not required to know the details such as name and location of a perpetrator of child trafficking. If trafficking is suspected, it should be reported regardless of how many details are available. DCF and law enforcement will make determinations and investigate accordingly. DCF received 2,600 reports of commercial sexual exploitation of minors in 2018. Those reports resulted in about 1,500 investigations and identified about 400 victims. If abuse or trafficking is suspected, anyone who has concerns can contact the Florida Abuse Hotline. The National Human Trafficking Hotline also accepts reports and will ensure they are disseminated to the local law enforcement and child welfare agencies. If a child is in immediate danger, 911 can be contacted. While there are many risk factors that can increase the likelihood a child could be a victim of trafficking, protective factors are skills, strengths, resources, supports, or coping strategies that can help people deal more effectively with stressful events and mitigate or eliminate risk. If we as Volusia County school employees can help students and families enhance their protective factors, we are also helping to minimize the risk of trafficking and other harmful life events. Some protective factors might include positive attitudes, values, or beliefs, good mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional health, positive self-esteem, success at school, strong social supports, community engagement, and positive adult role models. The Florida Department of Education has established a rule that every school in Florida will be a child trafficking-free zone. The rule mandates that all students should have an annual education related to child trafficking prevention and awareness. Volusia County Schools has devised an implementation plan that will be updated annually and reported to the Florida Department of Education. It is important that information and ways to report concerns of trafficking be posted and visible in school common areas. Students and staff of Volusia County Schools will receive annual education and prevention information regarding human trafficking to increase awareness, improve reporting of suspected abuse, and reduce incidents of child trafficking. Volusia County Schools will utilize the curriculum provided by Lauren's Kids for Safer, Smarter Schools and the Chosen movie and guided lesson for secondary grades. Middle and high school students will be provided the film Chosen and lesson plan that has been developed by Shared Hope International. Shared Hope International works worldwide to stop and prevent sex trafficking. You can find out more information about the film by accessing the link on this slide. Lauren's Kids is a nonprofit based out of Southern Florida that has developed an extensive curriculum to address sexual abuse prevention. In response to the Florida rule to implement child trafficking prevention, Lauren's Kids has expanded their Safer, Smarter Kids curriculum to use each lesson to also educate youth regarding human trafficking. The curriculum is available for grades kindergarten through 5th, middle, and high school. Each elementary school has been provided a full curriculum kit for each grade level, kindergarten through 5th grade. You can view the link for a more extensive preview of the curriculum. There are a myriad of resources and research available regarding human trafficking. The links provided in this slide can provide you with more information. Thank you for your attention. For more information, you can contact myself, Lisa Mastriana Davitt, Diane Martin Morgan, Coordinator of School Social Services, or any other student and government relations team member.